For thousands of years, cats have lived beside us. Graceful shadows moving through our homes, silent guardians watching from the corners of our lives. But no culture loved and honored them more deeply than the ancient Egyptians. To them, a cat wasn't simply a companion. It was a symbol of life, magic, protection, and the divine. In the warm sands of the Nile Valley, where civilization blossomed and gods walked in myth, the cat became something sacred. Its quiet movements, sharp eyes, and mysterious nature mirrored the Egyptians' deepest beliefs about power and spirituality. A single cat in an Egyptian home wasn't just keeping the mice away. It was believed to bring blessings, protection, and even the presence of a goddess. Across temples, tombs, and ancient cities, cats appear in carvings, paintings, amulets, and statues. They sat under royal chairs, hunted alongside noblemen, and guarded the thresholds between life and death. Their influence was so profound that harming a cat was unthinkable, and sometimes punishable by death. Tonight we will explore the extraordinary bond. From the wild African felines that first approached human settlements to the rise of the cat goddess Bastet, from royal households to vast cemeteries of mummified cats, the story of Egypt's feline obsession is as rich as the sands of the desert itself. As you listen, you'll discover why cats became symbols of grace and protection, and how their legacy still shapes the way we view these enchanting creatures today. Because in many ways, cats have never stopped being a little bit divine. And perhaps, deep down, we still know it. Part 1. The first cats of the Nile. Long before the golden age of pharaohs, before the pyramids rose or the temples of Bastet filled with worshippers, the ancestors of our modern cats roamed the deserts of North Africa. These early felines were African wildcats, slender, sandy-colored hunters with sharp senses and quiet steps. They lived on the edges of human settlements, keeping their distance, at first. But something powerful began to happen along the banks of the Nile. As Egyptians stored grain from their harvests, the grain attracted mice and snakes. And where rodents gather, cats naturally follow. The Egyptians quickly noticed these skilled little hunters stalking through their fields and slipping silently into their storehouses. Unlike other wild animals, the cats weren't destructive. They were helpful. This was the beginning of a relationship that would shape thousands of years of history. Over time, people started leaving scraps of food near their homes. The cats stayed longer. They became calmer around humans. Slowly, the wildcat stepped over the invisible boundary from wilderness into the world of people and found a new place to belong. It wasn't long before Egyptians began seeing something more in these animals, their glowing eyes that shone at night, their ability to sense danger before humans could, their balance of fierceness and softness. Cats felt otherworldly, and Egyptians respected anything that felt touched by the divine. What started as a simple partnership grew into something sacred. Part 3. Bastet, the divine feline. As Egypt's love for cats deepened, one goddess began to rise above all others. Bastet, the gentle guardian, the protector of homes, the bringer of joy, music, fertility, and peace. While many Egyptian gods were fierce and unpredictable, Bastet was different. She represented comfort, healing, femininity, and warmth, yet still carried the strength of a lioness beneath her soft appearance. Originally, Bastet was depicted as a lioness, fierce and wild. But as centuries passed and the bond between humans and cats grew stronger, her image softened. She transformed into a woman with the head of a domestic cat, a reflection of the animal Egyptians cherished most. Bastet's temples were some of the most popular in all of Egypt. The most famous was in the city of Bubastis, a place described by ancient historians as vibrant, joy-filled, and overflowing with celebration. Pilgrims traveled from across the country for her festivals, where music, dancing, wine, and worship blended into a celebration of life itself. Inside her temple, statues of sleek bronze cats lined the halls. Thousands of offerings were left at her feet, flowers, jewels, perfumes, and small hand-carved cat figurines, all meant to honor her and ask for her blessings. Cats living within the temple were considered sacred. Touching one without permission could be seen as sacrilege. Many believed that the living temple cats carried Bastet's spirit, watching over worshippers with calm and knowing eyes. Bastet was more than a goddess. She was a spiritual symbol of everything the Egyptians valued: harmony, motherhood, protection, and the quiet power of the feminine. To them, a cat was not just an animal. It was a living reminder of the goddess's presence. Part 4. Sekhmet, the lioness of war and fire. Before the gentle, nurturing energy of Bastet became widespread, Egypt worshipped a far more fearsome feline goddess, Sekhmet, the lioness of war, destruction, protection, and divine justice. Where Bastet brought healing and joy, Sekhmet brought fire, vengeance, and unstoppable power. Sekhmet was depicted as a woman with the head of a lioness, crowned with the blazing sun disk. Egyptians believed she was born from the fiery eye of the sun god Ra, sent to punish humanity when people rebelled against him. Her breath was said to create the hot desert winds. Her roar was believed to shake the earth. In battle, soldiers prayed to Sekhmet for strength and protection. Her presence was terrifying, yet compelling, a reminder that the gods could both nurture and destroy. Temples dedicated to her were filled with rows of statues, each capturing her fierce gaze as if she were eternally watching over Egypt. But Sekhmet wasn't only a goddess of destruction. She was also associated with healing and medicine. Many priests of Sekhmet were trained healers, believed to channel her power to cure illness. This duality, fierce yet healing, mirrored the nature of lions themselves, protectors of their pride, but deadly to their enemies. Egyptians believed the world needed balance. Bastet embodied gentleness and home life, while Sekhmet represented strength, chaos, and the raw force of nature. Together, the two goddesses formed a spiritual pair, the soft paw and the sharp claw of the divine. To the Egyptians, cats carried both sides within them. In one moment, a cat could be peaceful and affectionate. In the next, a flash of claws reminded everyone of the wild goddess who once ruled the desert sands. Part 5. Cats of the Pharaohs, companions of royalty. In the grand courts of ancient Egypt, where gold shimmered, incense burned sweetly, and the air carried the weight of divine power, cats held a place of honor unlike any other animal. They were not merely pets of the nobility. They were symbols of royalty, grace, and spiritual authority. Pharaohs, queens, and members of the royal household often kept cats as close companions. These royal cats were pampered with soft cushions, fine food, and elaborate collars decorated with beads, semi-precious stones, or even gold. Their jewelry wasn't just decorative. It marked them as sacred extensions of the ruler's own power. Paintings inside tombs frequently show cats seated beneath elegant chairs, curled comfortably near their royal owners, or participating in hunts beside the pharaoh. These images weren't casual scenes. They were messages meant to endure for eternity. Cats were family protectors and blessed creatures worthy of being immortalized in art. Their role in hunting was especially valued. A well-trained cat could flush birds from papyrus reeds during royal excursions, moving with speed and precision that impressed even the noblest eyes. To witness a cat hunt was to witness divine elegance in motion. The bond between royalty and their cats was so deep that some pharaohs requested that their beloved feline companions be buried with them to ensure protection in the afterlife. These cats were often mummified with great care, wrapped in fine linens and placed inside small, beautifully carved sarcophagi. Royal cats weren't just treasured. They were respected as guardians of spiritual and physical realms. Their presence in the palace symbolized prosperity, protection, and the favor of the gods. Part 6. Guardians of Eternity. Cat mummies and the afterlife. In ancient Egypt, death was not an ending but a transition. a journey into a new world where the spirit lived on. Because cats were seen as sacred protectors in life, they were believed to carry that role into the afterlife as well. This belief led to one of the most extraordinary traditions in Egyptian history, the mummification of cats. When a beloved family cat died, mourning was immediate and heartfelt. Egyptians shaved their eyebrows to show respect and grief, a physical sign that their home had lost a sacred guardian. But the journey didn't end there. Cats were treated with the same care and honor as humans when prepared for burial. Skilled embalmers washed the body, anointed it with sacred oils, and wrapped it in fine linens, sometimes folding the cloth into intricate patterns to mimic the cat's natural stripes. Some mummies were placed in beautifully carved wooden coffins shaped like cats, complete with painted eyes that seemed almost alive. These mummified cats served two purposes. First, they were beloved companions intended to join their owners in the afterlife. Second, thousands were offered as sacred gifts to Bastet, spiritual messages delivered directly to the goddess. Archaeological discoveries have revealed entire necropolises dedicated solely to cats. In places like Bubastis, Saqqara, and Beni Hassan, vast underground chambers contain row after row of feline mummies. Some are tiny kittens, others are large, regal cats, who likely lived in temples or noble households. The sight of these cat cemeteries astonished early archaeologists. One farmer famously unearthed a chamber filled with more than 80,000 cat mummies, a discovery that confirmed just how deep Egypt's devotion to its feline protectors truly ran. To the Egyptians, a mummified cat was not a curiosity. It was a powerful symbol of love, protection, and eternity. Even in death, the cat continued to guard, guide, and watch over those who honored it. Part 7. Beyond the Nile. How Egypt's cats conquered the world. As Egypt thrived through trade, travel, and exploration, its influence spread far beyond the borders of the Nile, and with it went the animal it cherished most, the cat. What began as a sacred bond in one civilization soon shaped cultures across Europe, Asia, and the ancient Mediterranean. Traders and sailors quickly recognized how valuable cats were aboard their ships. A single cat could protect an entire cargo from rats, saving grain, cloth, and precious goods from destruction. Because of this, cats became trusted travel companions, journeying across sea routes and settling in new lands far from their Egyptian birthplace. When cats arrived in Greece, they were admired for their elegance and hunting skill. Greek households adopted them eagerly, replacing weasels and ferrets that had previously been used to control pests. Artists soon began depicting cats in pottery, sculpture, and jewelry, clearly inspired by Egyptian styles. The Romans took this admiration even further. They embraced cats as symbols of freedom and domestic harmony, keeping them in homes, barns, and temples. Soldiers even took cats with them into battle camps for protection and companionship. It is thanks in large part to Roman expansion that cats eventually reached Britain and northern Europe. But the story of cats beyond Egypt wasn't always filled with reverence. During the Middle Ages, European superstition took a dark turn. Cats, especially black ones, were associated with witches, omens, and dark magic. Their mysterious behavior, which Egyptians had celebrated, now caused fear. Many communities persecuted cats, believing they were connected to the supernatural. This shift would have baffled the Egyptians, who saw cats as bringers of protection and divine favor. Ironically, the widespread killing of cats in medieval Europe contributed to rising rat populations. Some historians even believe it worsened the spread of the plague. Despite centuries of misunderstanding, the cat's resilience won out. By the Renaissance, admiration returned, and cats once again became valued members of households across the world. Their journey, from sacred temples to merchant ships, from superstition back to love, shows just how deeply they've shaped human history. Egypt may have been the first to worship them, but the world eventually followed. Part 7. Beyond the Nile. How Egypt's cats conquered the world. As Egypt thrived through trade, travel, and exploration, Its influence spread far beyond the borders of the Nile, and with it went the animal it cherished most: the cat. What began as a sacred bond in one civilization soon shaped cultures across Europe, Asia, and the ancient Mediterranean. Traders and sailors quickly recognized how valuable cats were aboard their ships. A single cat could protect an entire cargo from rats, saving grain, cloth, and precious goods from destruction. Because of this, cats became trusted travel companions, journeying across sea routes and settling in new lands far from their Egyptian birthplace. When cats arrived in Greece, they were admired for their elegance and hunting skill. Greek households adopted them eagerly, replacing weasels and ferrets that had previously been used to control pests. Artists soon began depicting cats in pottery, sculpture, and jewelry, clearly inspired by Egyptian styles. The Romans took this admiration even further. They embraced cats as symbols of freedom and domestic harmony, keeping them in homes, barns, and temples. Soldiers even took cats with them into battle camps for protection and companionship. It is thanks in large part to Roman expansion that cats eventually reached Britain and northern Europe. But the story of cats beyond Egypt wasn't always filled with reverence. During the Middle Ages, European superstition took a dark turn. Cats, especially black ones, were associated with witches, omens, and dark magic. Their mysterious behavior, which Egyptians had celebrated, now caused fear. Many communities persecuted cats, believing they were connected to the supernatural. This shift would have baffled the Egyptians, who saw cats as bringers of protection and divine favor. Ironically, the widespread killing of cats in medieval Europe contributed to rising rat populations. Some historians even believe it worsened the spread of the plague. Despite centuries of misunderstanding, the cat's resilience won out. By the Renaissance, admiration returned, and cats once again became valued members of households across the world. Their journey, from sacred temples to merchant ships, from superstition back to love, shows just how deeply they've shaped human history. Egypt may have been the first to worship them, but the world eventually followed. Part 8. The Eternal Legacy. Why Egyptian cats still captivate us. Thousands of years have passed since cats walked through the golden temples of ancient Egypt, yet their presence in our lives feels just as powerful today. Something about the cat, its mystery, its independence, its quiet watchfulness, still echoes the reverence the Egyptians once held. Their legacy never truly faded. It simply changed form. Modern cats sit on windowsills like miniature pharaohs, surveying their kingdoms. They weave between our legs with a confidence that feels ancient, as if they remember a time when they were worshipped, honored, and adored. Their habits, sudden bursts of play, moments of stillness, their ability to sense what we cannot, continue to remind us of the magic the Egyptians saw. Today, cats rule the internet, dominate memes, star in viral videos, and charm millions daily. But beneath the humor and cuteness lies something deeper. Humans are still fascinated by the air of mystery that surrounds them. We're drawn to their elegance, their intelligence, and their uncanny ability to connect with us without ever needing to speak. In many ways, the Egyptians taught the world how to see cats. They understood them not as animals to be controlled, but as companions with their own spirits and strengths. They believed a cat could protect a home, soothe a troubled mind, or bring blessings simply through its presence. And perhaps we still believe this, quietly, subconsciously, in the small moments we share with them. When a cat curls up on our lap, or follows us from room to room, or stares into nothing as if sensing another world, we feel that ancient connection, a thread stretching all the way back to the banks of the Nile. The cats of ancient Egypt may be gone, but their legacy lives on in every purr, every gentle step, every flick of a tail. They remain symbols of mystery, magic, protection, and quiet power. The Egyptians knew a secret that time could never erase. A cat is never just a cat. It is a guardian of the home, a keeper of unseen worlds, and a creature touched by something divine.